You know, I gotta say, this event has given me a newfound appreciation for the animation department. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I already knew that some characters got a lot of attention to detail, but I mean, it just becomes very obvious at certain points. Now, I do feel like some degree of flexibility needs to be added with this camera. Now, don't get me wrong, I like it, and I just wish it was a feature that was available just in the game itself from basic standpoints without it being event exclusive, solely because I do like the idea of being able to photograph, especially some of the animations you're never inclined to see, because we don't really have the ability, like we do in Genshin, to just roam around and use a skill or a burst. But also, we don't really have any movement vertically, and this is like the best you can get, which doesn't really work when you have characters like Nekomata who decide they want to sit at the very top of the screen. Now, I'm not complaining because some of the angles are very nice here, but still, it's cute. Also, that knife is just in her face. Now, cute pod pads aside, what surprises me most about this event is the fact that I've learned that Qingyi's animations aren't really that like good in terms of showing off her assets. It's really Nekomata's are good. Qingyi's cute from a design perspective, but her animations are just okay. Her ultimate is nice, sure, but like if you're freezing during it, there's a lot more flashing from the lightning itself than her actually moving around. And the animations for what she doesn't really work super well with this because you can't zoom in super far. Like as you see here, I'm zooming in as the maximum value. And because I can't move the camera angle from the position where she started the ultimate, I can't really get a good shot. That's disappointing to me. And once again, because she's aerial, the camera does not seem to like it. Now, Lucy, on the other hand, look, I promise you there is a point to this video. But while we're on the topic, now Lucy has a lot going on from a design perspective, but I do think she's one of the cutest A ranks. Now, she is facing some stiff competition from Piper, but Lucy's just hot. Also, let's not forget, she has some really good cinema art. Like, this is nice, plus this boar is blocking the view. That's the only downside. Secondarily, let's talk about her. Now, from a generic build perspective, I think Lucy is, in my opinion, better, at least for ease of use and just for a quick understanding, than somebody like Astriao. Now, I don't like Astriao's design. I don't like her personality. I don't like anything about this character, which is why she's level 40. But beyond that, I think that if I'm just looking for who's a simplistic character to play, Astra feels like you slotted Robin in from HSR over to here. Lucy feels more like you ported Bennett over. And it's a very important distinction. I do think, obviously, she gets better with significant investment, especially in regards to Mindscape. Her C4 giving you crit damage. Her C6 has an odd interaction in the game because instead of it being a situation to where once you're buffed by her, whoever's skill you use procs her C6, it is a situation to where if you use a skill, an example, if I use Nekomia's skill, it's kind of finicky. I honestly think that someone like Miyabi, as an example, has a really good skill because it's a guaranteed hit, basically. Nekomata can push the enemy out of her range, and so the first half of her skill will hit, but the latter half might not. And in Lucy's case, her M6 requires you to hit the enemy, and the longer you hit the enemy, the more procs of her C6 you're getting, to a maximum of 3. That's fine for Miyabi. For characters like Nekomata, or even Qingyi, or even Koleda, you're running into a position to where the EX skill is such a short animation, or such a short duration for when it's activated, it doesn't proc all of Lucy's M6. That's just a minor complaint though. Overall, I'd say Lucy still has good constellations, or cinemas, or eidolons, whichever you want to call them. Now, thick thighs save lives, but have you ever considered the fact that because of the new ultimate mechanic, you can utilize ultimates for the sole purpose of stunning an enemy, because they do stun like the enemy for the duration of them. Because Lucy's, contrary to somebody like Nekomata's, is long range, you can use her ultimate, swap over to your stunner, or maybe you're swapping over to your supportive characters like Astriao, and move in close to the enemy, or get your buffs off before swapping into your main DPS. That's what I typically do, because her ultimate doesn't really do much. Her ultimate's sole purpose, outside of the damage you're seeing here, is just to proc the attack increase from Chiron. That's it. So virtually speaking, you can ignore this. Its sole purpose is acting as a secondary way to proc her passive, or her attack buff. And that's fine. I build my Lucy as a DPS. I will say, I don't recommend this. Lucy's DPS capabilities kind of depend on two things. First off, if her core passive is active, her boars will get a crit rate crit damage, and that depends on you either having another fire character or some Caledon character. The team I typically run Lucy in is either Nekomata, Koleda Lucy, or Nekomata, Qingyi Lucy. Now, Miyabi is kind of dealing with my Qingyi, and so it's Nekomata, Koleda Lucy for the vast majority of the time. And in that position, yes, Lucy's core passive is active because Koleda is fire. But if you're not dealing with that, hey, ignore that. Don't build her for crit, just build her full attack. The attacker interval does change. I see mine at 2000, but that's because I have not only her M6, which means I'm slowly lowering the cost investment for attack before she reaches her max 600 cap, but secondarily, you also got to consider she can only transfer at most 600 attack. But because the way ZZ works, her new engine will count towards that attack interval. Now, I want you to understand that as right now you see 2014, that's the attack she has. Even if I do a bunch of basic attacks with my squad, this attack increase of 3.2% per attack does not count towards Lucy's 2000. The game only takes into consideration your base attack before combat because you might get buffs. As an example, if I'm looking at Nekomata and I'm going over to Woodpecker, if that was the case, you could use Woodpecker to get the 18% attack or the 27% attack, and that would help you out with Lucy. Now, understand that you are only concerned with the base stat of her attack, not what it is in combat, not what it is post-buff. Now, if you are truthfully concerned about how to maximize your Lucy, I would just say go with Swing Jazz. It's good. Honestly, you can go 3 sets, 3 sets, 3 holes, perfect character, yada, yada, yada. I don't recommend it. I only could make a case for it in the event that you are running a Lucy as a sub DPS, like I am. That involves farming. How many of you actually like farming? If you're wondering, Swing Jazz and Hormone Punk are decent. The problem with Hormone Punk, as with any DPS, is that you're still bound by 10 seconds of downtime. That sucks. Swing Jazz is just a nice generalist buff. It doesn't stack, sure, but for the most part, you shouldn't be running 2 Swing Jazz characters anyway. Yes, the Astra voice set is better, but it's such a small percentage that I can't justify farming for this unless you don't have a Swing Jazz set at the moment, and you realistically should have a Swing Jazz set. Everybody wants 2-piece Swing Jazz if they're not a main DPS. You can even make a case for giving it to your main DPS. Lucy works in any team. I'd say her M2 is a very, very good one. It's ideally her best. M1 and everything else, yes, they're fine, but this is just a small damage increase. It's 10% crit damage. Sounds nice on the servers, but you're not going to notice that much of a difference, especially with the way ZZZ calculates its numbers. It's not HSR where it shows you a total damage difference at the bottom. It's not Genshin where you have a big ultimate that's color-coded based on the element you used. You have a lot of small numbers, and that doesn't really help you in terms of, defining if someone did good damage or not. This gets much more value if you're using Astrial. But if you are using her with Astrial, keeping in mind, Lucy's giving you 600 attack in addition to whatever you're going to get from her essential W engine, whatever that may be. Astrial is giving you a whole bunch more attack and crit damage. If Lucy has C4, she's giving you crit damage as well. Lucy's value is going to be reduced if you run her with Astrial. Is that a bad thing? It depends on what you're missing out on. If you're missing out on stun damage bonus, yes. If you're missing out on just chain attack damage bonus, especially so with Astrial wanting chain attacks or quick assist. But let's be honest here. You're not using Lucy because she's a great character. You're using her because she's hot, because she has some great cinema art, because she's one of the cutest A ranks, and at least for the time being, one of the few flat and small characters we're getting, because Qingyi seems to be the last one they want to do, and I'm disappointed. Also, her friend is hot too. Why go for one when you can go for 2? It's a duo. Also, you don't need to crown her. If you really want to focus on just investing into her, only invest into her special attack. Everything else is suboptimal. I do it because I simp. In the same way I did it for Nekomata. In the same way I do it for Koleda and will do it for Qingyi. Build and smash the characters you like. Play who you like. If you want to make her a main DPS, go ahead. At the end of the day, you probably won't be pulling for every single character in this game, and this game seems to want to take itself much more casually. Yes, Deadly Assault sucks to do, but you're not missing out on enough gems to warrant building someone specifically for Deadly Assault. Do it when you can, get what you can, get out. That's it. This has been your daily reminder that among the miHoYo games, the lollies have the best art. I'll see you next time.